They emptied the $120,000 I'd saved since I was 18, and used it to pay off my brother's student debt, fund his honeymoon, and buy him a luxury car. When I called them, my father said, "Thanks for your naivety. Your family now pay your share." I couldn't stop laughing because the money they took was actually, "Thanks for your naivety," my father said. Your family now pay your share. I stared at the phone like it had just barked at me. "Excuse me?" I asked, not because I didn't hear him. I wanted him to say it again, slower, with the weight it deserved, but he just chuckled and added, "Come on, you've always been the responsible one. What's a little help for your brother? You're not selfish, are you?" That was when I laughed. Loud, sharp, bitter, the kind of laugh that sounds like it's bouncing off broken glass. Because the money they took, every cent of that $120,000, wasn't what they thought it was. But we'll get there. Let me back up a little. The last time I saw my parents in person, it was during a family dinner in late March. I brought wine, a pie I baked the night before, and an awkward attempt at optimism. I hadn't seen my brother in months, but he was there, fresh tan from his honeymoon, wearing a Rolex that definitely wasn't there the last time he posted a mirror selfie. I remember the exact words my dad said that night. We were halfway through dinner when he raised his glass and said to David's future, "May your student loans never haunt you, and may your new car treat you better than your last mistake." Then he turned to me, and "Thank you, Nathan, for being the kind of son who doesn't make us worry. For always being the good one," my mother giggled. My brother smirked. I didn't get it yet. Not until the next morning when I checked my bank account and realized my life savings were gone. All of it. Every cent I had saved since I was 18. Every birthday check I never spent. Every freelance payment I squirreled away in my someday fund. $120,000 drained like a bathtub someone else had bathed in. At first, I thought it was fraud, a hack. I called the bank, half panicked, half ashamed. Nope, it was authorized. Apparently, my name had been added to a family trust account months ago. A joint structure for emergencies. I had signed something at Christmas. I remember the paperwork, but they said it was a tax form for a family investment plan. They waved it off as routine, and I signed it like a fool. Like family. It got worse. The funds had already been dispersed, a $58,000 loan payoff for David's MBA, $12,000 to book a honeymoon in the Maldives, $38,500 for a new Tesla, the rest miscellaneous family expenses. I called them, shaking, furious, but polite, because for some reason, that's how I was raised. My mom didn't answer. My brother sent a heart emoji and a thumbs up. But my father picked up and said, "Thanks for your naivety. Your family now pay your share." And that's when something inside me cracked. Not snapped, cracked, slow, deep, like something heavy shifting under a frozen lake. I couldn't stop laughing because the money they stole wasn't what they thought. And neither was I. When I was 19, I gave my brother my laptop because he was broke and needed it for school. When I was 21, I covered my parents' mortgage for 3 months because Dad said the market was rough and I'd get it all back eventually. When I was 24, I co-signed a loan for David because his credit was just a formality. By the time I was 27, I had sent them so much money I had to write it all down in a spreadsheet just to stay sane. And not once did they say thank you. It was never framed as generosity. It was framed as duty. I was the dependable one, the fixer, the background character in their movie who always shows up in the third act with a check and a tired smile. But they weren't villains. Not at first glance. My dad was charming. Everyone said so. He could tell a story, pour a drink, make you feel like the center of the world, until you disagreed with him. Then he'd rip you open with a smile still on his face. My mom was sweet, quiet, always caught in the middle. But she never stopped him. Not once. And David, my golden boy brother, he weaponized guilt like a surgeon. "I'm trying, man. It's not easy being the one they expect so much from. You wouldn't get it. You're not the one with pressure on your shoulders." I paid for his LSAT prep. He dropped out. I paid for his second chance at business school. He ghosted the program for 6 weeks to go to Ibiza. But I still showed up. I still sent money because I believed, like a fool, that eventually they'd see me. Not as a wallet, not as a fallback plan, but as a person. That belief died the day I saw the Instagram post. David standing in front of his new Tesla, one hand on the roof, one arm around his fiancée, captioned, "Work hard, play harder. New chapter begins. Hashtag grind pace off, hashtag blessed, hashtag no handouts. No handouts." I sat on the floor of my apartment in the same sweats I'd worn for 3 days, staring at the screen like it was speaking in tongues. That car, that vacation, his ring, my money. But to the world, he was the self-made man. I didn't comment, didn't react, just closed the app and opened my files. Because here's the thing, I had screenshots of the transactions, of the messages where he begged, of the lies. I had the emergency emails, the receipts, the PayPal locks, the wire transfer confirmations, and the signature page from the trust account they tricked me into signing, still saved in my cloud because I'm paranoid like that. But it got worse. My cousin Laura messaged me, "Hey, is it true what your mom said about you investing in David's startup? That's amazing. She said you believed in him when no one else did." I stared at the screen. Startup? There was no startup. I asked for proof. Laura sent a screenshot of a group chat. My mother had posted a message. "We're so grateful to Nathan. He believed in David's app idea. That's what family does. It's not about the money, it's about trust." That's when I realized this wasn't just theft. It was narrative theft. They weren't just using my money. They were using my name to make David look like a genius. I was the silent investor, the supporting character, the invisible crutch. So, I sent my mother a message, "There's no app, is there?" She replied, "You're overthinking again. Why do you always do this?" That was her trick. Every time I asked for truth, she made it a personality flaw. I ignored her, started digging deeper. I contacted the bank, confirmed every transaction, and then, purely out of suspicion, I checked my credit history. That's when the floor dropped. They'd opened a second credit line in my name, linked to my childhood address. $17,200 charged in the last 90 days, flights, jewelry, spa packages, a $6,500 furniture purchase from Restoration Hardware, all under the pretense of shared family credit. I called my dad this time, no politeness. He picked up like nothing was wrong. "Hey there, son. I was just talking to David about maybe getting you to help with the down payment on their house. The market's rough, but it's time he starts building equity." I didn't even raise my voice. "You opened a second credit line under my name. You forged my signature." Silence. Then laughter. "Don't be dramatic. We're family. You've always been the responsible one. It balances out. This is fraud." "No, son. This is legacy. You help David now and later he helps your kids." I hung up, but they weren't done. That night, I got added to a new group chat. Extended family. Aunts, uncles, cousins. The name, Family First. First message was from my mom. "Please support David and Kayla's new life. Nathan's been so generous. True family values. We're proud of him." Second message was a link to a GoFundMe. Goal, $50,000. Purpose, down payment, support, and business growth. Listed donors, my name twice. Anonymous $5,000 donation from Big Bro. I hadn't donated a cent. They were using me as their bait, and people were buying it. I wanted to scream, but instead I clicked download, every message, every lie, every pixel of manipulation, because I was done, and I was just getting started. You used my name to fund your fantasy. Now I'm using my voice to end your story. I scheduled the live stream for 8 p.m. sharp. No teaser, no drama, just a cold caption. What does betrayal sound like when it comes with a smile? I've got the receipts. At 7:55, there were 60 people waiting. At 8:03, over 900, most of them family, some mutuals, a few strangers. I recognized one of David's fiancée's cousins in the chat. I started with silence, just the title slide. And with that, I ended the stream. At 8:41 p.m., my phone rang. Dad, ignored. 8:42, Mom, voicemail. How could you do this to us? We're humiliated. 8:45, David texted, You really think the internet will love you forever? You're just bitter. I replied with one sentence. I kept the original trust document and the call logs. Keep texting. He didn't reply. That night, my story started trending under a hashtag I didn't create, #FamilyFraud. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel ashamed. I felt seen. You didn't lose your reputation because I told the truth. You lost it because you built it on my silence. By morning, the live stream had passed 220,000 views. By afternoon, it was embedded on 3 blog sites, reposted on TikTok, stitched with commentary by financial educators, therapists, and one lawyer who said flat out, "This is a perfect example of financial abuse inside a family, and he handled it like a surgeon." I didn't smile, not even once, because I knew what was coming next. At 3:27 p.m., my mother's post went live on Facebook. A photo of me and David as kids, smiling, holding popsicles in the backyard. Captioned, "No mother is perfect, but no mother deserves to be crucified publicly by her own child. We raised our sons with love. Even when we had nothing, we forgave. We sacrificed. But some people forget." Underneath, hundreds of comments. Sending love. Stay strong. He'll come around. This generation loves to cancel everything, even blood. But something was different. Sprinkled between the pity posts were voices like mine. Didn't he post the receipts? What about the forged credit line? Wait, didn't they actually steal from him? I saw the video. Don't gaslight us. By midnight, her post had been flagged 6 times for misinformation. The next day, I received a letter from an attorney. A cease and desist, accusations of defamation, emotional distress, threats of legal action. I didn't flinch. Instead, I forwarded the letter to my own attorney, Mia, and attached a signed trust document with forged details, an audio file of my father admitting to the theft, screen recordings of GoFundMe donations falsely attributed to me, and a bank statement tracing $120,000 in unauthorized withdrawals. Mia responded in one line, "We took legal action." By 6 p.m., she had filed a counter notice, formal demand for repayment in full, $120,000 plus 5% penalty for unauthorized use of financial instruments, credit fraud, and reputational damages. It was sent to both my parents' attorney and their accountant. I made sure of it. Then I posted once. No hashtags, no anger, just truth. You didn't lose your reputation because I spoke. You lost it because I stopped covering for you. Attached, legal filings, bank screenshots, GoFundMe logs. It spread like wildfire. Hashtag Team Nathan started trending. Then hashtag Family Fraud, then hashtag Nodiorson. People from all over the world shared it. Some DM'd me with their own stories. Others offered free legal advice. A nonprofit for victims of financial abuse reshared my stream with a comment. Not all abusers are partners. Sometimes they share your last name. On Thursday, the fallout began. David deleted every social media account he owned. His fiancée's parents pulled out of the wedding planning. The venue cancelled. The registry was wiped. Mom's Facebook account disappeared after people started flooding old posts with screenshots from my stream. My dad tried to post a vague macho, "Real men don't whine," online status. It got 3 likes, all from people who hadn't watched the stream yet. By Friday, I got a message from a blocked number. I opened it only because curiosity beat dignity. It was a photo of a bank transfer confirmation, $120,000 wired to my personal account labeled Family Resolution. No apology, no message, just the money. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I forwarded the image to Mia and said, "Mark is received, but tell them the interest was silence, and I'm not accepting that anymore." She replied, "Want to respond publicly?" I shook my head. No, they already said enough. They still tried. A final post from Mom on a private account, "We've settled everything." Things were misunderstood. Love went. People weren't buying it anymore. Not after the truth had faces, files, and 200,000 witnesses. I didn't reply. I didn't post again. I just sat in my quiet apartment, rent prepaid for a year, groceries in the fridge, no missed calls, no family group chat, and let the silence bloom. It didn't feel empty. It felt earned. I didn't disappear to punish them. I disappeared so I'd never need to survive them again. It didn't happen overnight. But once I started cutting, I didn't stop. I changed everything. Bank accounts closed. Phone number deactivated. The downtown condo sold for cash. I never went back to pack, just hired a service and said, burn the furniture. I moved 1,200 meters south and took an apartment with no lease in a city no one could guess. Somewhere bland, humid, anonymous. I chose the name Nathan E. Cross because it sounded clean. It sounded like someone who had never owed anything to anyone. And I was done being the guy who everyone called when the roof leaked or the bills piled up. I bought a pre-owned Toyota. No loan, no flash. I stopped wearing watches. I stopped celebrating my birthday. I started living on hard resets. Every click, new password. Every sunrise, new rule. No family. No blood. Just silence. They tried at first. Mom used other people's phones, fake accounts. Her messages were always the same, please just talk to us. This isn't how family works. We're still your parents. She didn't understand that parents don't forge your signature. That real love doesn't come with billing statements and shame. So, I blocked every number, every platform, every ghost they sent. Even David tried once. One message, no greeting, congratulations. You've made yourself a martyr. Don't choke on your ego. I didn't reply. I didn't even screenshot it because he didn't exist anymore. Not to me. 3 months passed. I got a new job, freelance cybersecurity for a company based in Iceland. Paid in crypto. No HR, no tax forms with my real name. I started going for runs at night. No music. Just the sound of gravel and wind and my own body catching up with itself.
The smear campaign was real for a while. Some mutual acquaintances bought her, Patrick crazy, threw me out for no reason, story. Lost a few of those, but anyone who believed her version without question wasn't much of a friend anyway. My true friends and Rachel, who has been an amazing platonic support through all this, had my back. Last I heard, Catherine had to move back in with her parents. Deborah is apparently still trying to fight her battles, posting vague rants on social media about toxic men and narcissists. Whatever. Their drama is no longer my problem. The best part, the sheer, unadulterated satisfaction of watching her entitlement crash headfirst into the wall of consequences she built herself. She thought she could dictate the terms of our marriage, use my home as a revolving door for her affairs, and even try to destroy my career, all while keeping me on the hook. She miscalculated spectacularly. Inviting Rachel over was just the opening salvo. The real revenge was systematically dismantling the comfortable life Catherine took for granted. Story 2. There are so many posts floating around in advice, aita, etc., where people post screenshots of text or tell stories of their spouse being a complete disaster. Like, I feel for these people, I've had bad relationships, but I can't figure out why the hell are people getting married with someone like that. Shit like addiction, poor money management, dishonesty, bad attitude, jealousy problems, ego issues, disrespect, abuse, most of this shit is very easy to detect during the relationship. Absolutely blows my mind that it's now somehow a surprise that your husband doesn't know how to manage money or your wife's a TikTok addict. Like, are these people getting married on a whim or just in complete denial about the obvious flaws until it boils over? For real. Sort these issues before you are legally and otherwise tied up with a person up your damn neck. If you're dating and considering marriage and/or kids, please make note of this. Don't ignore obvious warning signs. Don't think that, I can change them later, or, they will become more responsible/secure later. Don't think that marriage will somehow make person magically better. 'Cause it won't. And you'll be stuck with abuser, or someone ruining your credit or someone who doesn't make you happy. Most of the people in Western world enjoy the privilege of being able to date for several years before marriage, take advantage of that. I get that sometimes there are curveballs, especially cheating can sometimes be a complete surprise and there was no warning signs whatsoever. But like 90% of stuff I see would have been absolutely preventable if people hadn't almost willingly ignored something that was clearly in front of their eyes. Love makes you blind makes much more sense when you browse some subs on Reddit for a while for real. Edit. Many comments come with, people wear masks until it's too late argument, so let me tackle it here. I think the proportion of people who have a meticulous plan to deceive and are able to stick with, I dunno, for 2 years or even 1 year with no cracks bleeding through is a small fraction of the total. That's like certified clinical psycho shit. The amount of discipline needed is, in a fucked up sick way, insane. Absolute majority of people who are abusers, for example, not because they want to, but because they lack impulse control and self-development skills. And if one lacks impulse control, it's virtually impossible for them to pretend to be who they are not for a prolonged period of time. It's difficult for anyone. I strongly believe that in most bad relationships and marriages, the warning signs have been there from early on, but for some reason people ignore them. That was the point of my post.